This trouser-tightening example of an old Dell OptiPlex is probably the coolest OptiPlex gaming PC scam I've ever seen, because the seller actually put a whole load of effort into like external appearance upgrades. The problem is that the internals are still that of an 87-year-old chain smoker, but today we're gonna change that by Linusing the crap out of it to make the ultimate OptiPlex sleeper. The good thing about this old OptiPlex is that it's actually old enough that it hasn't been infected yet by the scourge that is the OEM proprietary crap virus. So it should be pretty straightforward to rip out all of this pulmonary disease in here and replace it with some mad EP. So let's start off by tearing this system down to see what we have to work with. Ugh. Okay, so a bit of a whoopsie. I was busy test fitting this power supply to see if it would work because it's a little bit longer than that standard ATX power supply. And, you know, good news, it does fit in the system, but now it's stuck. I can't get it out. It seems to just be part of the case now. So now that we've removed all of the pulmonary disease from the case, there is a bit of a problem, other than the fact that I'm never getting that power supply back. But this hard drive cage is so riveted and soldered in place that it's essentially structurally integral, which is a problem because the graphics card that I want to use isn't going to fit in here with that. So it means we're going to have to do a bit of dremeling. Okay, as you can see, I very professionally removed that hard drive cage. I definitely didn't just Hulk smash it out. Come on. Come on. Oh, there we go. Someone let go there. Why are you so strong? There we go. There we go. Woo! Hey, there we go! But now that we've freed up some space for our super powerful graphics card, there's just one more mod that we need to do before we can build the system in here. And it's to fix a little proprietary cable. This is the power button cable, which as you can see is not going to fit on a normal motherboard. So let's just quickly deal with that. Now I looked at a bunch of guides online on how to deal with this connector, and it seems like all of them kind of deal with the problem the other way around. So how to get a normal case power button connector, which looks about like this one, to plug into the OptiPlex motherboard. So the female plug for this connector. But I'm trying to get it to work the other way around. Now, having a look at the pinouts, it seems like for the power button to work, the two important cables are the black and yellow one. The other cables are for the power LED. Now, considering that there's like cable jumping and stuff going on in this connector, that's kind of above my pay grade to deal with. So I think what I'm gonna do is just cut the whole connector off and then splice the black and yellow cable onto this plug, and then we should have a functioning power button. I am not super hopeful that that's gonna work, but you know, let's see what happens. And with that, we're done with the couple of modifications we needed to do. So hopefully we can just build a system in here now. So yeah, let's roll the build montage. Oh, actually, before the build montage, I do want to talk about this motherboard because it is very exciting. As many of you know, I do have a bit of a soft spot for M-ATX. But usually the problem with M-ATX is that all of the motherboards are kind of like sitting down in a public bathroom stall and feeling somebody else's butt warmth glowing into your taint. Whereas this is a proper EPEAN MATX board, which I'm very happy to have. Now, I only have this board because I recently kindled a long-lost romance with Microcenter, which is by far the best PC hardware shop ever, and they sent this motherboard over. So if you do want to get an EPEAN board, go check out Microcenter with the link in the description below. Love you! Oh, look at this beautiful little cooler. I really hope that it can stand up to the 12900K that we're going to be using. Yeah, I don't know how all this is going to work, but you know, it'll fit in the case, so that's important. Now the first thing that we've got to do is see if my power button implementation works, which I definitely think will. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't worried at all that it wasn't gonna work. I knew the whole time. Now before we fire up some games, we need to put into context just how much of an upgrade this really is. Because the original configuration that I bought off Best Buy had an i5-3470 in it with 16 gigs of DDR3 and a GT 1030. Whereas now, we're packing an Intel i9-12900K running in that sexy Strix Z690 MATX board. We also have 64 gigs of DDR5 running at 5200 MHz, and then finally we have an RTX 3080 Ti in there, which means within a couple of percentage points, this is one of the most powerful gaming configurations in the world, which should be a bit of an upgrade over that GT 1030. Now, we just need to hope that it won't explode the moment we fire up a game. So what this performance means is that the GT 1030 is officially less powerful than an Intel iGPU, which that's kind of humiliating. I think that maybe it's running a little bit better than it was before, because the graphics are slightly higher than it was with the previous configuration, and we've got a bit of a better frame rate. So yeah, I think it's made a difference. Oh damn. Okay, so this is the first non-sarcastic game benchmark that I'm running, and at 1080p ultra settings, we're just pegged at 200 frames per second. The system's not even really having to work that hard. Although, with about 35% load on the CPU, it's already sitting at 84 degrees Celsius. You know, this is okay. I'm just kind of trying to roleplay the standard temperature experience you get with a Dell system. So now I've upped it to 1440p and we're still sitting pegged at 200 frames per second. This hardware configuration really is monstrous. The system's having to work harder though. You can see that the GPU is getting close to that 100% utilization, and we're about to tick over into, 97 degrees. But honestly, considering the fact that we're drawing almost 500 watts on the graphics card and the CPU together, the fact that it hasn't just exploded already is actually quite impressive. Okay, so we're about half an hour in now, and the GPU topped out at 80. It occasionally touches onto 81, but it's mostly been sitting at 80 degrees Celsius, and the CPU has been fluctuating in the 90s. The core frequency has been stuck at 4.9 gigahertz though, so that's pretty impressive. Like, the gaming experience has been absolutely crazy on the system, and despite the very high temperatures, it's functioning, you know, it's taking it pretty well. That's a surprising result, to be honest, because I was kind of expecting an immediate fission reaction, but you know, it's just It's just fizzling away. That actually went a whole lot better than I was expecting. Granted, the CPU was hovering at about 100 degrees Celsius with not much load on it, but it was handling that 100 degrees very well. We were still getting about 4.9 gigahertz on the CPU. And in terms of the GPU temperatures, it was only slightly worse than it would run in like optimum conditions. I was expecting this case to emulate Thai prison in summer temperatures, but it was more like a Thai prison in mid-autumn, so definitely better than I was expecting. Like, if you put your hand over the front ventilation, you could feel a torrent of cold air being sucked into the case. And if you put your hand over the rear exhaust, you could feel a jet of hot air blowing out. Yeah, there was a lot of air moving through this case. So yeah, good job, little OptiPlex case. You make for a very good sleeper. Actually, funnily enough, the last video I did on the new Alienware pre-build, somebody said in the comment section that that PC is like a reverse sleeper, where you have a fancy looking PC on the outside, and then the inside looks like an office cubicle from a 90s auditing firm. Whereas this, it really is the other way around. I mean, aside from all of the bling on the outside, I guess that does give away the fact that it's a beast on the inside a little bit. And with that, it brings me to the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. And until the next video, bye-bye.